5th budget session.
Thank you.
We are in order.
Oh, okay. I'm looking around like, hell. Okay.
Okay.
We want to open up with discussion about the 2026-27 fiscal year annual budget and capital improvement plan. And Matthew and Faith, Finance, thank you.
Sure. Well, good afternoon. Appreciate everyone being here. This is our 5th meeting at the request of council. And we did not prepare any prepared remarks, but we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
I'd like to, Sarah and I met with you yesterday, and thank you
Yes, ma'am.
for that.
Thank you.
And just as a quick recap, if you could just maybe reiterate a little bit more about the sewer rates. We said that they were not going up, but the water rate, 8%, does not include the AMI. Is that correct? Okay. I think some of the questions that I thought about last night was the $100,000 covers an approximate number of meters if we were to reinstall those. Is that correct?
That was if
Well-
we use the water and sewer fund balance, is that right? Is that what we talked
So just so everybody's on the same page.
Yes.
Your questions yesterday about the AMI project revolved around sort of what it was. The meters, and Paul can correct me if I'm messing anything up here, but the
Yeah.
meters that are in the ground are starting to age out.
That's right.
And after a certain period of time, it is wise for us to start replacing those meters, no matter what. A couple of years ago, we started the project of upgrading the technology so that we don't have to have as much labor involved in reading those meters. And we're at that sort of crossroads where they need to do a software update, and a number of the older meters are not taking the software update. Coupled with the request from council to look at doing a portal for citizens to be able to have information about their bill, and for us to be able to see more real-time what consumption looks like. We propose to do this project as a part of the water and sewer rate study, and Reftelis completed that. They indicated that we certainly have enough money in our water and sewer fund balance to pay for the project outright, up front, and then they would recommend that we replace that over a period of 5 years with a small increase to our water rate. To have parity and to remain healthy in our water and sewer utility, water rates were recommended to go up 7.5%. That for rounding purposes, it ends up around 8%. And then to do the extra AMI project fund replenishment over 5 years, they recommended going up an additional 3% to 10.5%. Which would equate to, on an average water bill, somewhere under $3 a month. In our discussions yesterday, we just had a off the cuff discussion about whether or not we wanted to do that project. It was recommended from the staff that we continue to look at some of our oldest meters. It is important for us to replace those because they're starting to age out, and that results in water loss, which means that customers are getting free water. The town is subsidizing free water, and so we want to keep that at a minimum. And so we recommended putting about $100,000 out of the water and sewer fund balance, which we would not have to go up on water rates any additional above the 8% that we'd already proposed. It would just have to be absorbed by the fund balance. Yeah.
So do we have any idea the approximate number of meters that would be installed, Paul, that would be under the $100,000?
That would purchase approximately 225, give or take.
about? And how many do we need, Paul?
We've seen different different reports. The latest report showed that we have a few hundred that categorically, they're not going to upgrade.
A few hundred, you said?
A few, yeah, a few
Okay.
hundred. They're, due to the age and the technology, I mean, they're just, the internal parts just aren't going to work. Overall, the big number they gave us at first, I believe it was roughly 1,900 meters needing to be upgraded. But a good bit of these are in the, say, 14 to 15-year-old age. And like American Water Works Association, those type organizations, they recommend that around 1,600 water units or 15 years to look at replacement because they're inefficient and you're giving away water. It's just not registering. But the batteries, I think, as I remember, it was a crazy number, I think 17.8 years was what they said that those batteries in the meters that we have in the ground are. So somewhere in the 17 to 18-year range. I mean, those meters are going to have to be replaced because they're going to quit reporting.
So when you
It's
said
coming.
a few hundred meters,
Will not.
right, well,
There's
not
no-
upgrade.
no
So
chance.
if we can get 250 with the water and sewer fund balance for that 100,000, would that mean there'd still be like 50 plus that just wouldn't work, or what would happen?
We believe it's going to be a higher number than that.
Okay. But but what would I mean, let's say we could only do 250 this year, then what would happen with those that you said can't be upgraded? Do they just like stop working if they break and
They
like
have to
can't
be
be fixed? and
manual
we have to-
read for some of them have to become manual reads. If they're registering,
Yeah,
because you have a register head that's electronically reading, and then you also have a transmitter. So
okay.
if it quits working, it's not going to be,
I guess my question, Paul, and I understand what you're saying, and I'm just reformulating my thoughts, is that if we did 250, is that enough? Or is it really just not even worth doing 250 if you can't do the 300 plus that need to be done because they can't upgrade?
that's a tough
Okay.
question. But
Okay.
because they're going to age out, at the very least, if we have a plan in place to get these meters replaced, even if it's over multi-years. I mean, I'm sorry, I wasn't in the conversation yesterday, so didn't,
It was very exciting.
well, water and sewer usually is.
You can tell, I know. As soon as we got to it, I was like, oh, here we go with the boring stuff.
Sorry. But the reality is, we have, I want to say it was close to 1,900, does that sound right, Matt? That are in that, 14,
Okay.
it might be 12 to 15 years, but I think about 1,300 of them are 14 to 15 years old, because they were put in around 2012,
Okay. How many do we have total?
about 2,900.
Okay. Okay. So about 1,000 are still okay-ish?
Yes.
Okay.
1,000 are much newer.
Okay.
In,
And how long are they okay-ish?
I mean, it
Different
varies,
ones are different,
it varies,
yeah.
because some have just
Yeah.
been put in this year.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
With like, say, the Kinsley project, we've put in 30, I don't know how many we've put in exactly, or Oakdale Forest, we've
Yeah.
put in roughly 50 there,
Okay.
say.
Okay.
So those are practically brand new.
Brand new, yeah.
But in 2012, we replaced roughly half of the system, and that's why so many are in that 14, 15
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering, for the newer ones, like if we did 250 this year and 250 next year, and like if eventually though, it's gonna be like, well, now, it's snowballed.
The benefit there is they wouldn't all time out at the same time, like what we're seeing now, because it's, kind of forcing our hand,
Yeah.
but it is coming.
Okay,
And
okay.
We do see it on the horizon.
Okay.
Some fail every year, but
Yeah,
just the battery life is coming.
okay, all right, that's helpful, thank you.
And the AMI means that you can see the actual usage, right? We were talked about having a dashboard and that, so people could see how much water they're using in real time. Is that?
Yes, I mean, if we do the dashboard and the software, don't, do you remember the pricing for that? Because that,
For the portal,
for the portal,
about 100,000.
about 100, and that's to bring it online.
But it won't work unless the meters are all upgraded.
All of them would have to be, I guess.
They'll all have to take the software.
Because some of them you would have the actual, and others you're still rounding up, the way it is now, for billing, correct? Or rounding
believe-
up or down?
I
to the
believe we're looking
CXCF?
at staying at 100 cubic foot for billing purposes, but it would register 1 cubic foot for what the register
Reporting.
would be reporting at 1 cubic foot, but the billing would trip it per 100 cubic foot, similar to what we do now.
Okay, so my concern there was, I'm comparing this, I know that High Point got the new meters, I've looked at my daughter's bill. And you can see the actual usage, which is great, you know, I use what, 3.53 CCFs this month, let's say. So if I then get a bill for 4 CCFs, I'm thinking, oh, wow, the town got a free, you know, some, you see what I'm saying there? How would we?
It's based on when it trips, so really, the citizen's always going to be ahead because it doesn't trip until it makes it to that next 100, and that's my understanding, until it makes it to the next 100 cubic foot number. So if it was like, 2372, that 72 hasn't tripped it, so they're 72 cubic feet ahead, but when it reaches 2400, then that 100 cubic foot would show up on the next bill when it trips the 2400 number.
Okay,
So-
I think I,
So it kind of works out. They don't end up paying for it twice.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be at the point that it
it
trips.
sort of rolls
Zero.
forward then for the next
Yeah,
time.
it's kind of like an odometer trip.
Yeah, yeah. And will it, will you be able to see leaks or get notified of leaks if we were to get the portal? I mean, that is just so important.
It will make it easier. What we have now will tell us if usage has gone up. We get warnings, and we know that some are at risk because the percentages have gone up a lot, say in the last 2
Right,
weeks. 'Cause we
compared
read
to-
every 2 weeks
yeah.
generally. I think the portal will give us more real time, where you can, how to explain this. Currently with 100 cubic foot, it shows like, say, a notch every time you go over 100 as usage. So in a month, you might see a notch on this day, several days, nothing.
Yep.
Where with 100 cubic feet, you're going to see what's going on with usage because you're getting 100 times more data.
Right, right.
So
yeah.
it will be helpful in finding that and determining it. I mean, the leaks.
Yeah.
So how many meters did you replace this year? What are we looking at there?
This year, we replaced, I want to say it was like 150-ish
Okay.
that we did in the last year.
Well, I think I'll speak for myself, from my perspective, I think certainly as we've talked about before, the council's still interested in doing the longer-term meter replacement project and just not quite ready for it this year. But I do think that the strategy of having some additional meters on hand to help support any kinds of issues that we may have appears to be prudent. And, from my perspective too, if there's an ability to use fund balance to help procure those meters now, so we've got them on hand when we know that old meters will fail and need to be replaced without moving the water rate increase next year, then I think I'm fine with that.
I think that's how I feel too.
Oh, Susan, I actually opened the meeting since you weren't here, so if
Okay,
you wanted
thank
to
you. Yes.
go ahead and take over.
All right, so are we going in order by subjects, or are we just sort of
We're just sort of into it.
into it? Okay.
The general consensus is to budget an additional 100,000 for the meters, but not change the water rate. as proposed, at 8%.
And you say that's coming out of the water and sewer capital
It's
project?
coming out of the water and sewer fund balance.
Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that, for me, yeah.
How many meters does that purchase? Roughly,
Roughly, I would say 225. I want to say they're going for around
with a thought. maybe
$450, give or
continue to
take.
Do that purchase that same amount each year so that we're not replacing all at the same time eventually.
Yes, or we may, if they start failing ahead, I mean, we may need to step it up, but this will be a huge help, so we don't end up with, so many failing all at once.
Thank you.
And
And I'm making one assumption too, that the new meters that we're putting in now or that we'll purchase, they'll all be compatible with whatever this long-term system portal output will be. I guess it can all connect and talk to each other.
Faith wanted me to make sure that we understand that this is a one-time expenditure. It's not an ongoing solution to the problem.
Correct.
Yeah.
Of the
Stay within our fund
100,000,
balance.
is that what we're talking, that
Stay
number?
within the fund balance
Of the one-
regulations.
Okay.
And then the 8%, that keeps the water rate at 8%? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, that stays the
There.
same.
So if the current water usage fee is $4.35 per CCF, that would take it up to $4.70, correct? 8%?
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question.
Yes, an 8% increase over the current water fee of
Yeah, the
4.35
rates.
takes it to 4.70. I just wanted to confirm that. And that there's no increase in the sewer fee.
In blue. So in-town rates for water would be $4.70 per unit, and out-of-town would be $9.40 per unit.
Okay. And the sewer fee stays at $6.85,
It's
correct?
$6.95 for in-town and $13.90.
irrigation.
Oh, sorry, that's irrigation, my apologies. $6.85 for in-town and $13.70 for out-of-town.
Okay, that's just,
Thanks for picking that up.
all righty.
The only other thing I'll add real quickly is, I know when we had our last meeting, part of the reason why we're here today is I had brought up sort of the focus of getting some additional information from the Guilford County Sheriff's Office about the contract, and Matthew has checked on it, reported to us that evidently they're involved in a budget discussion today of sorts at the county level with the county commissioners and the manager. I guess the sheriff is there too. And that there may be some outcome of that discussion that might influence what they do or don't do with our contract. But I just wanted to sort of publicly remind everybody that's sort of how we got to the additional work session today, in addition to what we're talking about with other budget-related items. So,
Do we have any,
any other updates today, Matthew?
I'm assuming they're meeting it concurrently with us here, so I'm assuming that they'll get some information as soon as they get through their process.
And who did you talk to most recently there?
I got that information from the county manager and their, what's Toys budget finance, I can't remember his title, right off, but their budget officer,
Your budget manager,
Yeah, budget
director?
folks.
Okay, all right, thank you.
budget staff.
Thank you.
Go with that.
So do we need to resolve that in absence of the information now, what our plan is? I can't, so I don't think we can wait till the,
Currently, my communications with them has been that the council's request is to keep it at 500,000 or less. And as I explained to you, that to keep it under 500 or 500 or less, it would require losing one deputy out of the five that were required to provide 24/7, 365 coverage. So there would be a reduction in coverage of some amount.
and so I remember they, in that initial email that we got that day, I think the second option or item was to do 500,000, but can you give us a letter or assurances that if we go over up to 517, we would pay the bill essentially? Was that also in there?
They keep moving that target, it appears, but.
No, but
you know,
that was what.
You're right.
That was in there, correct.
So we could discuss that further, but the direction from the council has been very clear that it's like $500,000. not to go over that. So we can have further conversation on it.
Yeah, the challenge is, and what, I know what Jim's alluding to is that it'll keep going up, and I imagine it will go up eventually when we have the addition of the Johnson Farm, I'm assuming. 'Cause
Well, they've told us they can service, if I recall, like up to 10,000 residents with their current complement. Is that right, Matthew?
That is correct.
Okay. So I think the question goes back to what you'd been asking multiple times, was we're already paying, the citizens are already paying for services, okay?
Yeah.
Because they're paying a county tax, correct? And if I get something wrong, please feel free to jump in and tell me I'm wrong. But we're already getting the service for the county tax in the first place. And on an average, if you look at an average home in Jamestown, it's roughly $450 a year that someone is already paying Guilford County for sheriff services, correct? Or, okay.
Take your word for it.
Okay. Let's just say hypothetically that it's $450. So if you live in Jamestown, you're paying roughly an additional $300 for that service. And so what I think you'd asked multiple times is, what credit are we getting for the amount that's already being paid? Because if you take away the 24, we're still getting a lot of service. If you could take away 24 hours, we're still getting a lot of service, so how much credit are we getting for that? And I think the reason for saying this in the first place was not to reduce police coverage, not to say we don't want it or anything like that. It's just at some point, we have to have the conversation that he's been trying to have about what are we, why are we having to pay? And there may be a great explanation, for that, but we just don't have it. And I think that was the impetus for this whole thing, and not trying to say we don't want the coverage and we don't, we're going to cut it and slash it and all that. It wasn't that. It was just the fact that we're already paying this amount. We're paying for $350 and not getting the credit for the $450 that we're already paying. We're already paying for coverage. And that, to me, that was the reason for this. So it sounds like, we're coming in and saying, well, we don't want to pay the police anymore. That's not the case at all. I think they do a fantastic job. It's just, at some point, that question's got to be answered. And I realize we're in a difficult situation because we're kind of low on if their budget's $80 million and we're 500,000 of it, it's not that
Yeah.
big of a
Well,
priority.
you're exactly right. And what I recall was last year, the year before last, when there was conversations going on between the manager, Faith, and Rob, there was some, as I will call it, back of the napkin kind of math that was done, sort of looking at the sheriff's department's budget, the allocation of what, Jamestown residents pay for their support and patrol services in the budget. It broke down to about, a total of $57,000 a year that should be a credit going towards patrol services. And you're right, that's part of the basis of the question. One is, what are we getting in the way of that credit? How do we really understand it's there? And can you explain that to us so we understand it? But
The
the other.
sheriff's department explains, not the town.
Right. That's why we asked them to be here today, and we clearly understand they've got a conflict with their budget session. But it would be good at some point in time to have that answer memorialized in some way, shape, or form from them so we understand that, because I continue to get questions about that from folks in the community too, about, they look at these other towns that have, as I would term it, 24/7, 365 response, not the same kind of coverage like we pay for and we get. But they're not, that's fully funded with their Guilford County property taxes that they pay. And again, you're right, we want the continued support and coverage and partnership. It's just we need to understand what does that look like, and I always break it back down to the FTE counts. I'm not going to go back through the math today, but it's it's one of these things that we ask for a certain component of coverage. It relates to an FTE count. We're currently paying for a half-plus position above that FTE count to account for things that they say that they need relative to training and backfill and support when people are on vacations. Anyway, so I'll stop there. Just it's all right. That's why we want the answers from them. I'd rather hear it directly from the sheriff or an appropriate designee of his office, just so we understand that. Now, again, from Matthew's message yesterday, it appears there's some some dynamic going on between the sheriff and the county manager and their budget department about how this may or may not be sort of cost accounted for in the future. And, I'll be interested to see how that all turns out. But I'll stop there, so.
Yeah, my understanding from the county manager is that part of their budgetary discussions today will revolve around them trying to do a full study, probably this next fiscal year, look at not only the sheriff's department services, but like planning services and other things that they do for some of the smaller municipalities, and see exactly what the full cost is. Problem is I don't know how that affects next budget year for us.
Right.
So I'm waiting to hear back from them to see if they feel like it needs to go up or stay the same, or if we're okay, or we can agree to the 517 or the 500, or, so I'm still kind of in a holding pattern.
Right. And was that the questions that you were essentially asking, what the
Yeah,
credit was?
but I got the impression that whomever makes those decisions was not going to answer that question adequately, that they had used whatever formula they wanted to come up with to reach a number, and they had offered to provide the services that we had requested for that number. That number was over $500,000. And the board, the last time we had this discussion, said, no, we are not going to budget more than $500,000. So again, we've asked for them to explain how they came up with that number, but they've essentially said, no, thank you, this is the number. And as a result, the board is left making a decision at this point. If you want the same services, it's 520-some thousand, or whatever the last number they gave. If you want it to stay under 500,000, it's gonna go down to 4-something, but we're not gonna have 24-hour, 7-day coverage. Again, like, is that fair? No. Like, I would rather the sheriff's office, like, have a more detailed explanation that makes more sense to me as to how they reached that number. But we're not entitled, we can't force the county, force the sheriff's office to tell us anything, right? And that's kind of the concern I have, is that they're gonna either decide that it's just not worth dealing with it, or they're gonna come up with some other number, right? Now it sounds like they're saying, well, look, things that we didn't include on that number are all the administrative stuff on the back end, right? And maybe we actually really ought to add in this and this and this and this and this, and then we'll give you 20 grand for your ad valorem taxes. But now the number's 560, right? And we don't, like, we're not entitled to anything. Like I've talked about multiple times, we are not entitled to have a single sheriff deputy ever step foot in this town. Like, no matter what, right? So we don't have any leverage. So to me, it just kind of like, we can keep asking them to explain how they came up with the number, and we can argue and say, we really think it should be less. But at the end of the day, they can kind of say, this is the number, and you can either take it or leave it. And it, like, from my understanding of the board's position last time, 6, 8, 9 months ago when we started the discussion, the board unanimously said, we want 5 deputies, 24/7 coverage, period.
When was that?
I think we said
But
$500,000.
not this board, the prior board.
I never once said that.
I mean, because like, I asked that question, like.
I probably
and that
remained
was-
silent.
I mean, that was the directive that we got from the board.
Yeah,
And,
yes, that is true.
So that's what I had told the sheriff's office, that's where we were going into things, and then we went into this, and then the board just said, no, we're at 500. And now the sheriff says, okay, that's nice, but this is what you get for $500,000, and it's not 24/7 coverage.
And the problem is, we won't know, there's no way of knowing when we have 24-hour and when we don't, I guess, there's no, I mean, it's not, I guess that's.
Well, that's another
There's no
good
way of
question.
knowing that,
That's excellent.
how much less coverage are we actually talking about? And when does that happen? I mean, does it happen a whole lot more than it's supposed to, or does it happen a lot less than it's supposed to? There's not really a way of knowing, so.
There's not, and again, I think, like, I'm not sure exactly when we've had what conversations when
Sure.
it comes to the sheriff's office, but the way that the contract is set up is that either party can say no thanks at the end of the year, right? So essentially, you're paying for a service, we've agreed on what that service is, but if one party breaches the agreement, right, or there's an appearance that they breached the agreement, or you just don't like what it is you're getting paid for, then you just don't renew it.
But we don't have
So-
that right now, right? Or we do?
Well, we do have an
We
agreement.
do.
It's a junk
It's just not always,
contract,
it's an
but
old.
So that's what my question is. When I first took a look at this contract 2 years ago, it was dated 1991. So my question, and this will, predate your employment here, both you and Faith, but my question is, did we just pay annually whatever the sheriff's department just, charged us with no oversight of the contract? Whatever we had in the contract is what we paid annually. No, is that what happened? I mean, I'm wondering how we
it went
even.
up each year. Over the years, it had slowly gone up, but there was a relatively drastic increase in the last 3 or so years, which brought things to the board's attention as to whether or not what we were getting was worth the money. There was this whole formula, right, of coming up with what they're charging. One city or municipality cannot make money off of another one, right? Because we're all agencies of the state, right? So we can't take money from other people. So all we can do is be reimbursed for actual costs, right? In the past, they just kind of put a number out there and everybody was kind of happy with it. They didn't do any really detailed analysis to come up with a formula as to exactly what that reimbursement cost was. At some point, the town and prior boards raised concerns with the sheriff's office that the cost was more than what there was a reimbursement. Then they came up with this formula. We disagreed with the formula. Again, went back and forth, were in the newspaper, all that nonsense. And we kind of got to the point where they said, yeah, that's cute, but that's the formula we're using, right? And then it's up to the board, just like any other contract, to say, okay or no, right? Like, we're done negotiating is where we are, and it's a take it or leave it, right? And we can go back to them and yell from the top of the mountain that we want 24/7 coverage for $500,000 a year, but that's not gonna do any good. They've already said no to that.
So I think, just speaking for myself again, I'm comfortable at staying where we're at with the $500,000. We don't know yet what they're gonna come up with or not, based off the budget discussion, in the event that they come up with something different that we have to deal with. We always have the ability to do some kind of budget adjustment if that's warranted, but I'm certainly not there with that. I'm still sticking at the number we've got, because I think it's in alignment with what they say they need. It supports our FTE count that we're asking for. Again, I can't speak to or even understand what past boards might or might not have been thinking about it. I can only, speak on behalf of folks that I hear from about these same questions of what are we getting for our money, and why are we sort of the outlier in this equation? And I can honestly explain to them, we're asking for this service. We've been asking for it for a long time. It's beneficial to the town to have it in place. But what I can't answer is, again, what kind of credit are we being given for the Guilford County taxes that we pay? How are they coming up with their numbers? Why is it more than what we're needing relative to the FTE count? But anyway, so I guess, from my perspective, I'm sticking where we're at.
And if I could just, I guess, add in that I think whatever the board decides, it needs to be a number for a set of services, right? Like budgeting $500,000, that's not an option, right? The options are 425 or whatever the number was to have 4 deputies, or 530, whatever the number was to have 5 deputies. I think it's fine to say we're gonna budget it for something and allow the manager and the attorney, whoever else, to continue to negotiate. We may go back and revise that. But I don't think that we can legally budget for something that we know is not, that we have no basis for, right?
Well, I'll say $500,000 pays for 4.82 FTEs using their math.
And they're not offering that.
We're paying for 4.82 FTEs.
But I can't write that contract, though.
Okay, I'm gonna make a suggestion then, if that's okay. I never should interrupt a lawyer, I'm sorry. Is it okay
You
if
should
I-
always interrupt.
Okay. I'm gonna make a suggestion, and we can take it or leave it. We can say 500,000, we're not gonna get 24/7 coverage with that, okay? We would sort, that's clear. What I would suggest, and this may not be on the table anymore, is to do, say 500,000, but give them the assurance that if we go over up to the 517 or I'm not sure where that 517 came from, or the 526, that we'll give them that letter, okay? Then go back to our community and say, here's what's happening, the cost has gone up, if we're gonna keep going up, if you're okay with that, we'll go up. If not, we're going to lose some coverage. But I don't feel comfortable going back and saying, we're only gonna give them this and draw a line in the sand like they have, and then our citizens lose coverage that they may still want. And I don't feel comfortable putting ourselves in that situation by saying, we're gonna give you a number or pay you knowing that we're already gonna lose some coverage. And I don't know if that option is still available, but I would suggest that, because I do not want to leave here and say, we've decided to reduce your coverage. What we're saying is we don't want to pay as much, but it doesn't matter. It's gonna reduce the coverage no matter what we say. And that's my suggestion.
But that puts me in a position that I can't fulfill.
Huh?
Because when you come up with a
Yeah.
budget, right, that's the number that the town is willing to pay for a contract. That's not what's on the table. That's not reality, right? So when I then, as your representative, go and send the contract over to the Guilford County Sheriff's Office, and it says 24 hours coverage, the town's gonna pay an annual amount based on well, it's $500,000, they're gonna say, I'm not signing that.
Do you have it handy with you, do you have it?
But
The new contract or the old one?
Well, maybe both. I just wanted to see, I can't remember what we're getting. We're talking about the full.
It says, I got the
But
contract here.
before, I
It said-
remember that there was a car involved,
So that-
there was administrative stuff involved, there was even supplies involved. I need to know what all that is. I can't remember, huh?
Toilet paper was.
Toilet paper, all of that. I
But did they
think
not
that
still
I need
say-
to know,
If they would take the 500, if we gave them the letter stating that we would pay the overages if we,
all I want to know is what we're
The
paying
issue,
for
though, is
right
that,
now.
like, they've told us what it's gonna cost, right? So we can't, like, kind of create a false budget, right? We're all saying that we will pay
Okay.
the amount that they're gonna charge us, which is 530, but we don't wanna put that in the budget, right? Like, we can't legally do that.
okay.
I don't know how else to, like,
But they asked. That's the
Their
only reason I brought it
their
up.
Their number's
suggestion was that,
517.
I want to be very clear, their suggestion was that, I agree with Rob, that if you want to retain the 24/7, 360, if that's the goal, then the number was 517. So, budget the 517, and this is, again, I don't know what they're going to come up with today. I have no idea.
600 or,
You know, so we could argue this ad nauseum and still have another conundrum if they come up with a different number. My hope is that they'll hold steady for this next fiscal year while they do their study and their report, and hopefully the report will come up with a methodology to address what Rob has said is, you know, this is the value you're getting from your county taxes. And then show that clearly, bless you.
If I can remember correctly, I believe the last meeting, we said something like 500,000, but if we did that and there was an offset, that if we had enough money still left, if we needed to amend it, if it happened to be more than 500,000, did we say that, like the 17?
the way the
Or you
contract,
still can't do that?
so the way the contract is written
is ridiculous.
is that every single year, the Guilford County Sheriff's Office is gonna send us a proposed budget line of what they anticipate to charge the city, or the town, excuse me, over the course of 12 months. We then review that, accept it, which means we put it in our budget, and agree to continue on with the contract. If we know that something is gonna cost 517, we can't just put it in the budget at 500, right? Like, that's not a real budget. Like, I mean, it'd be really easy to balance the budget, right? If we said we're gonna put the tax rate at 4 cents, per 100,000, and then cut everything on paper down, even though that we know that's not what the cost is. We can't legally just,
And that's fine, it was just their suggestion, that's why, that's the only reason I said that.
Right, it was their suggestion, but I do agree with Rob that if we're gonna we need to budget correctly. Now, if they said, we think it's gonna be 500, and because the cost of fuel is tripled,
right.
and it went to 517, and that's a direct reimbursement, then we could do a budget amendment to make that.
And that's why we've got fund balances and why we make budget amendments when things that are unexpected come up.
Right.
But like setting ourselves up for that is just not an appropriate way to budget.
Faith, how, 1 cent on the tax rate, how much revenue do we get from that, ish?
92,
92.
something, 92.
So,
That's the estimated,
right.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically, we, if we want to take it to the citizens, I think we basically, could ask them, this would be for the future of, would you prefer that, are you okay with your tax rate being increased by 5 cents to keep 24-hour coverage? It'd actually be a little more than 5 cents, to keep 24/7 coverage, or would you prefer to have a lower tax rate and use the regular coverage that every other community in Guilford County gets from the sheriff? I think that's what we would probably need to do.
and I think that's a very appropriate conversation for the council to have with the community, yes.
I think I would agree with that 100%, but then I would say you'd have to do it at 517 this year in order to do that, otherwise you're already cutting it without,
Yeah,
having that
I see.
conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do, yeah. Now, I personally believe we could cut it today and no one would see a difference at all if we went to the lower one and cut one shift out, but.
And again, I think
That's me, Sarah Glanville, as I said before, that's me, Sarah Glanville, in my opinion.
and that, to me, that's what the board needs to decide for this particular budget session, based off the timeframes that we got, is what service are we gonna pay for? And again, every year we can negotiate with them and try to apply pressure and put political pressure on them and do all the things we can so that by the time the next budget comes out, we can make the decision again. But I have to be able to have a contract that I can get signed by both parties.
why don't we just
Yes.
say what we want to do?
Put
and then-
something in a motion or,
Yeah. Well, before we make the motion, can we say,
Yeah, and actually, I was going to add something. I did, like in my love of looking at the other counties or towns and seeing what they're spending. There are other towns that are spending a whole lot more than we are for law enforcement and that are just a little bit bigger. It almost sort of seems like a bargain to me, but I would love to know more about what this covers, absolutely. It's very important, I think, but for the purposes of this right now, I'm kind of leaning towards the 517, and let's move on and then sink into it in depth over the next year.
I'm the same way, 517, and then, I know at some point we got to get them to the table, but we're cutting it without talking about it, so the 517, have the conversation.
In my opinion, 420 or 0.
Okay,
Are you looking at me? Well, I mean, I'd like to, my biggest thing is right now, what are we getting right now? But I don't want to cut the services because I've always felt like it was a good service, 24 by, for our town. This is what, our residents felt safe, knowing that we have this service. And so, I don't want to change any of those, the 24. I really want, so whatever it's going to cost, the 517, if that's what it is to keep us safe. I just want to be, this contract, this has been going on for 2 years, too long. So we just need to make a decision and get to it. But I do want our residents to feel and I want the same level of service.
or find out if they're happy, or okay with it coming down. So should we make a motion to say that?
Oh, you're,
You can make a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the contract at 517. And then the other part doesn't need to be in the motion, is the part about having the conversation about what people are willing to do. But I make a motion that we set it at 517.
Okay, to set the sheriff contract at 517 and whatever the exact amount.
Well, we need a second on that. I'll second.
Okay.
Thank
Right.
you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to do a roll call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilmember Westmoreland,
No?
Councilmember Glanville,
no,
Councilmember Gibson,
Yeah.
Councilmember Burgess.
Yes.
Mayor Dickens.
I'm going to say yes.
The motion passes.
So that's,
Matthew, if you can just notify.
I will communicate that to the sheriff's office, and I will try to get as much information back from them after their budget session today. Just bear with me.
it'd be nice.
And we'd
to
still
make-
like answers to the questions too. The basis of them coming today and the answers to the questions would be helpful.
And again, we
Whether,
can,
whether they come at a future meeting or they come, at a future work session of council, that's up to them. But, we still don't understand the answers to the questions.
Which was what brought us to this conversation in
Yeah.
the first place.
for whatever it's worth, the contract, of course, has not been approved by either side, and certainly not been approved by the board. So if you budget the 517, we tell them that, they come back and say something that makes y'all not want to sign the contract, so be it, right?
Okay.
Because right now, this is what you're budgeting because that's what you're anticipating to pay, but we haven't signed a contract that requires us to do that yet.
Tell them to take it out of the 450 I'm already paying them.
Yeah.
Not really.
Second. Is that a motion?
No, sir.
Okay. What else?
I had so just some things I wanted to talk about based on the meeting Pam and I had yesterday. Faith, did you bring the model thing from North China?
Yes,
Can we put it on the screen?
sure.
No, you're not gonna bring it. We move on.
Don't break them.
You want me to get the lights? I'm gonna sit there and watch this.
Paul's going to.
This was so nice
I'm going to set
outside.
it up here and you can plug it in. Let me move this for you.
Hold it in.
Their attorney is not, right, if he sees that we budgeted 500, I'm signing a contract for 517, that was somebody who didn't run the legal on that either. I mean, yeah, I think it's a great idea. When that got floated to me, we're not gonna deliberately create a budget that is not.
That makes sense.
While she's doing that, can I ask a question that you had brought up to me yesterday? I think you shared an email with the council today about the America 250.
Oh, yeah, yep.
That way we can maybe
Okay.
knock that out real quick while we're setting up.
Yeah. So yesterday, we discussed, and I'm sorry that this is kind of sort of last minute, but America 250, that organization would like to see us be involved in some type of a celebration as other towns and municipalities are doing across North Carolina. I had some discussions about what that looks like in our town of Jamestown. And there were a couple of things that came up, but I think, maybe just doing a barbecue style day here in Jamestown, keeping it pretty much simple, but just a recognition of America 250 and just, hot dogs, hamburgers, chips, soda, drink, that's it, and whatever, possibly a cake or whatever. So yeah, we'll have to put that into the budget. I don't know, this is the problem, how many, do we account for, how, it's hard to say how many people would attend something like this here or whatever, so we're gonna have to guesstimate what that looks like. So, I'm thinking maybe 500 people would turn out to something like this. I don't know, council, this is a guesstimate, I don't know.
Is this part of the potluck America?
No, we don't want to do that. I
That was
mean,
just-
I saw that, but this is, I'm thinking that this should be something, specific to Jamestown.
Later in the
It's-
summer?
It's, just an opportunity to bring community together to acknowledge and celebrate 250 years.
This is something probably none of you know about me, not even Pam, is that I do not do potlucks. I really do.
No, yeah,
If
I know
go to
she
your
does not.
house, it's so that you can come and relax, and I will take care of you.
Yep.
And if I go to your house, I expect the same.
Now, I will
So I'm glad
say,
we are not
I
doing any kind of
second that one.
America 250.
no, so I will,
That's how it's branded. It's
and I will say,
branded.
Sarah, we talked about with Matthew yesterday, you know, grilling the hot dogs and hamburgers, but then Susan said, well, no, we want everybody to have a chance to enjoy this, and plus, I don't think those grills over there are big enough, so we thought about maybe having it just catered.
Oh, I mean, we can do that, but let me tell you what, Brian would do it in a heartbeat. He's back of the house. He does not
But
like
do we
to-
have enough grills? I mean, we have, oh, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. I mean, you think Brian's gonna do it by himself to serve like about 500 people? That's the
We're gonna
thing.
roll over, I mean,
So we do have to think about what that looks like, so we have to put in a figure to the budget for that, y'all. You wanna do it now? Matthew?
I think we need to do a little bit of research, don't we, on like what the cost would be?
Barbecue Brothers, and I think
Oh,
that's
you already did the research.
well, we thought about maybe them to cater, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe a hamburger was and I don't know if they would do it by bulk, but I think it was $4.29 a hamburger and $2 and some change for a hot dog. But I don't know if they would do that by individual, or would they do something in bulk? I haven't talked to them on that.
Raglan
So,
Concession sells their hot dogs for $2, and that includes chili on top.
so I think what we need, and this just came up really kind of yesterday, because, I mean, I was just thinking of keeping it really simple and do something like like all-American walk and bike ride down through the street or something, dress up in a red, white, and blue something, and, you know, woo! But, but, I'm not sure that that would be good. So something a little bit more in-depth, like a town barbecue is what I was thinking. So I guess we just need to come up with a guesstimated figure.
Because 10 times 500, that's not.
Do you think we can get 500 people in Jamestown to come out and do this gig?
I think you'll be surprised about how many people will show up for a free meal.
Yeah, and from other places too, right? So we want to go higher, 750. I don't think 1,000, I really don't.
I can't.
I mean, what's our average attendance for Music in the Park event?
But that's just not Jamestown, so it's from everywhere.
Well,
So are we,
How you gonna keep?
is this
people-
going to be open to,
You would not be able to police that.
we can't,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, we have to keep it to,
Well, I mean, we could have a sign up or reservations by a certain date and cut it off and then know, what we're dealing with.
Probably your best bet is to set a dollar figure, let's say between $3,000 and $5,000, and see what you can do for that. I mean, if you can do 500 hot dogs, once you run out, you run out.
That's
First
right.
come, first serve. It is
that's
what it
right,
is.
First
that's
come,
it,
first
that's
served,
it, that's what I'm saying, exactly.
Hot dog, sheet cake, and we talked a little bit about, just briefly about getting other, like Publix or Chick-fil-A to maybe
Yes,
donate
and
to your
I'm
lemonade.
I'm
or
actually
things
going to be
like
talking
that.
to Publix today,
You know,
after here, so get your lemonade. But anyway, so let's go ahead and set it at, you see, 3 to 5 definitely, so we're going to have to go, I would say, to be safe, go on the higher end, 4,000. It's a guesstimate, I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
I mean, the bottom line, it'll force us to have to just work around that budget, and that's it.
that was going to be my point.
Exactly,
And we're pretty much committed to doing something for
yes.
this, yeah.
We need a motion.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's fine with me.
yeah,
And until 4,000, whatever it buys until it runs out.
exactly, that's it.
We'll plan accordingly. Sarah,
Oh,
Ready?
some
Yeah.
questions?
Can't see.
Yeah, so, I know, it's so hard to see. I'm gonna come up here, actually. So,
Glasses.
I had a problem last
no,
meeting.
yeah.
Siri,
These are prescription. It's so.
So when Pam and I met with Faith yesterday, because like I've been going round and round and round with this tax rate, I think we've all had conversations and just trying to figure out, what to do. So this is with the 51 cents here. Do you know that, what was that one that you were showing yesterday that I liked so much?
That one?
Yeah. and then scroll down to the bottom. So when Faith showed it to me, this would be the projected fund balance here, right? For 2027, so that would be basically,
Well,
That's
that's the
projected.
estimate without
Right.
this year's.
right.
Yeah.
So that would be, without this year's, what do you mean without this year's?
Well, we talked about it yesterday. You
Yeah,
just
so that's what I was
don't
gonna say,
know.
but so this is what the projected would be so that would be as of June 30th of 2026, or, which is coming right up, no, of 2027, right, June 30th.
They're saying if nothing changes
Right, that would
from
be the
this year
number.
between this 27, you would have 4.9.
Okay,
But
and that's next June 30th,
no, starting.
starting
Yeah.
in 2027. Okay. So that would put us at 53.64% of our expenditures, and I thought, well, that's really comfortable, because our policy is 40%, but then Faith explained to me that we actually have a couple things coming up that we're going to take out of fund balance, which is some overrun on the sidewalk project and some overrun on the bathrooms, and that's going to take like 600,000 out. So if nothing changed, so if nothing changed, that would basically drop down, and then we took out the 420,000 that would have to be.
That includes it, that
Yeah, she took
4.9.
it.
Oh, that includes it, okay, 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 so then that takes us to, so maybe I misunderstood yesterday, so that then takes us to about,
4.3.
oh yeah, 4.3, yeah, no, I did have it right there, okay, yeah, about 4.3. So, that then takes us though to only 43% of our fund balance, or of our expenditures, which is just only 3% above our policy, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
that was the
okay.
thing, yes.
So that's where I started to feel a little more panicky about this, was because, being only 3% over our policy made me a little nervous, because say we have another overture that we're not expecting for another $300,000 on, something that, some capital improvement project, well, then now we're right down at the policy, and that's when the state gets involved, right, if we go below it.
Well,
The state,
The state, the
they
audit-
don't get,
You
they
have
don't
to
get
have a-
involved.
Oh, okay.
you would have to start working on a plan.
Oh, okay. Oh,
For a
that's
certain
it,
amount
that's
of
it, so that's when we have a plan to bring it back, okay. So that was what concerned me. So then Pam and I talked about this after our meeting yesterday too. We started like thinking about the numbers, and I don't know what the perfect number is by any means. And one of the things I mentioned yesterday so Faith had said in our May 19th meeting that 57 cents is kind of like the break-even point where that minus 420 would go away. The thing is about that sticks a little bit for me is that we know from Guilford County's, their recommended budget that they are going to vote on is they are proposing a tax rate of 61.9 cents. So that is essentially almost a 9-cent tax increase from them on the Guilford County side. And so if we did the 0.57, that would be essentially that'd be about a 9-cent tax increase, effective tax increase on our side. And so I ran some numbers with average home value and the average home value increase with the reevaluation. And so at that 57 cents, the average home owner in Jamestown would be paying an extra 20% over revenue neutral, which is about almost $1,200 a year, which is not insignificant for a lot of people. And so this is where I'm stuck, is I'll say, is that I want us to be safe in our policy and feel comfortable that if something, you know, if we need the money, it's there, but at the same time, like I said, these are not insignificant numbers for folks, so I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's where, we were talking about this last night too, and I got very sort of confused. And I know that this is looking at it from the revenue side. And so I literally went in and pulled out my old Excel stuff and put together my own dashboard with, looking at the residents and how much we would pay with these increases. So as an example, I took our 5 houses, which vary quite a bit, and I looked at the property valuation from last year versus the new revalued tax value. And it ranged from, my house increased the value, let's see, it was 28, no, hang on, 62% from the old value to the new. And then I think that that ranged like 54, one of us had 54% increase, 46, 49. So it's like the tax rate, we're looking at one number, but I just feel like we're not paying enough attention to this enormous tax revaluation if there's no moratorium. Just right now, I'm looking at it as if these values are here to stay and that our taxes are going to go up. And so when I applied these, the rates, the Jamestown rate of 5163, the change in my tax bill, just the Jamestown tax bill, my tax bill is going up 28%. And the rest of you range from 15% to 22%. So that's just the Jamestown side. I add in Guilford County, it's 33%. And yeah, that is at least $1,000 more a year, $100 a month. And I tried also looking at the 58%. It just went up from there. But what I also did was I averaged the increase that we're all paying in taxes to Jamestown next year based on this. And in our group of 5, we're paying 20% more in tax revenue to Jamestown. So that's a 20% increase. And when I look at what the increase from year to year, last year it was a 4.8% increase over the year before. The year before it was a 6.8 increase over the year before. But for me, it's a 28% increase this year. That's huge. And that's just me. And, I don't know why mine went up so much. That's after the appeal. It would have been a hell of a lot more if I had stuck with that, original amount. So I'm looking at it, and I see that there's a whole lot more potential for tax revenue using this rate, the 5163, and it almost looks to me like it's too high. It's almost appears to be a couple points too high. But and I'm happy to plug in any more numbers and see, how that comes out. But I'm looking at a 28% increase in just Jamestown taxes with the 5163 rate that we're all talking about.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, and I think the concern for me is the valuations have caused a huge tax increase for everybody. I don't think we're ever going to be able to cut taxes enough to offset that and maintain what we do in the town. I mean, mine's gone up. You called my name out there and said how much I got to pay in taxes. So I get it, but I don't know that we can solve that. I think we can help it. But I don't think we can completely fix it.
No, but I'm saying the taxes from the year before, last year, went up for everybody in town 4.8%. On average, only because I have the 5 of us to look at, we're now talking 20%. 4.8%, 20%. That's more revenue than I feel like I'm seeing up here. I don't know if, like, the average valuation for a house, I'm not sure what that model is based on, but I think the valuation is the key part of it, that huge increase, not even so much the tax rate, because that's where all the new money's coming from.
Is that based on the new valuation, I guess? Okay.
So what is the average that you've used here as the increase?
We don't do that calculation, that the estimated revenues for tax value come from the county to us. We don't go and look at every individual household and try to figure out how much they've gone up or down or anything like that. It's a number
Right.
overall. County believes that they will receive in value based on the new numbers that they've done.
So a month or so ago, or when I was dealing with the commission, that was put at about 40% is what they were telling everyone they thought the average house increase valuation was going to be. And again, I'm looking at ours, 62%, 54%, 47%, 49%, 49%. So that's a minimum of 10% over what the county is estimating, if that's what they were giving you up here. I'm just
So
saying,
you're saying basically.
There's more money?
Residents may not be considering the tax valuation of their homes, probably not.
that we or may not, we may be a little more conservative in looking at this model, instead, based on what Guilford County, if that's where the numbers came from, because I think they did base it on about a 40%, and people were saying, oh, no, our houses are, have been revalued at a much higher rate. Like my daughter's went up 86%. Mine started at 70%. I got it down to 64%, I think, 62%.
So your concern pretty much is including the tax valuation?
Yeah, I think we're looking at,
Tax hike for the residents of Jamestown?
I think we're going to be getting a whole lot more money than, like, the models are showing. That's why I think at a minimum, we should keep it at the 5163. Maybe less, but I doubt I'll go there. I don't think that would work.
So I had a couple questions. How does the model account for what we're showing in the way of future year CIP projects and what's sort of designated to be funded and financed in that model?
They're all listed right here,
So, but everything on this sheet,
year over year.
everything on this sheet, Faith, is in that model. It's all been loaded in.
CIP have been turned on.
Yeah, for this year, all the CIP funds have been turned on.
So this year's budget, we've loaded in, it looks like from a fund balance perspective, $428,475 worth of projects.
Yeah, some of that's your POW bill.
No, this is all fund balance according to your sheet.
Yeah, POW bill's on there.
I'm not, POW bill, okay. So next year, you've got just general fund, $2.161 million worth of capital projects loaded?
Yes, it's all on here.
No, I'm asking a question, right? Okay. The year after, you've got $2,064,000 worth of projects loaded?
Yes.
Okay, so my point is, we've talked a lot about the fund balance, a lot of what's happening with the fund balance going forward has to do with what needs we have on the CIP that are identified for years 2 and years 3 and even further years out. So when I'm looking at the list of projects that are out there for next year, there is some designated significant amount out there for some kind of option to redo the fire station. I don't know if there's $12 million plugged into the model, or if there's some kind of a predetermined financing amount that they've got plugged into the model.
It's in there, but it's not cut on because
It's-
we haven't cut it on yet.
It's for 27, 28. That's not in the.
Yeah, I'm talking about 27, 28. There's all this anxiety about what's going to happen to
that
the
is
fund
not
balance going
being
forward.
Taken into account in the model, is her.
Do what?
It's not being taken into account in the model because.
For this year?
Right, all we're concerned about right now is this coming fiscal year.
Okay. And then how's it accounted for in the model? How are the other projects accounted for in the model? They're not in there either? They're in there, but they're not turned on, as you say?
They're all listed, but if you cut them on, then it factors in the budget. If they're cut off,
Right.
They're not factored in the budget, so we're only looking at what's in the CIP for this year. They're all listed, but only the ones that we're gonna fund this year are cut on.
Okay. And how is our, I guess, over the course of the past several years now, we've had excess revenues at the end of the fiscal year. Last year, it was $818,000. The year before, it was $1,045,000 that flowed into fund balance. What's your projection for, the end of this fiscal year now that we're only about 2 months out?
I'm not sure yet. I mean, we're still,
But if our trend holds consistent with the past
balance.
couple of years,
some of
it
that
would,
is,
it would stand to reason that, we will have excess revenues again.
some of that is unfinished capital projects. So if there's still revenue, money in the budget, and we haven't finished some of those capital projects, such as, I'll use Oakdale Phase 1 as an example, we will re-encumber those funds into this coming up year's budget. So when the auditors do our fund balance, it is there, but then I re-appropriate those funds in July, taking that fund balance and putting it back in the budget, so that when they do start the Oakdale sidewalk project, the money is in the budget. So fund balance is very fluid, and a lot of this money is reappropriated year after year back into the budget for projects that did not get completed.
Okay. And again, fund balance appropriation can be used to fund both operating projects and capital projects?
What do you mean by operating? Not operating expenses such as utilities?
Well, that's what
things
Matthew
of
said in
that.
his commentary to us on a couple of occasions, that, the fund balance appropriation will be there to be used for recurring operating expenses.
It's
And
not-
my thing is, a dollar that comes out of the fund balance doesn't know whether it's funding an operating cost or a capital cost. It's just there to balance the budget.
Are you talking about the 420,290?
Yeah, the 42290, and so it's sort of been specifically communicated as if it's just to fund recurring operating expenses, and I don't think that's accurate.
I don't think I said that.
Maybe
I don't-
Matthew can
I don't
explain.
think I said that.
No, you-
No, Matthew
I
has
think
said
you're
it, that's what I
saying-
was
saying
asking.
that I said that. It is not wise for us to try to balance the budget using fund balance. The fund balance should be used for emergencies or one-time capital projects. And you can interpret it one way or the other, but in our view as staff, we believe that using $420,000 of fund balance to balance the budget when you really don't have to, this is not an emergency situation. This is a political decision to try to reduce taxes for the citizens, which we are definitely in favor of doing. We recognize the burdens. We're empathetic to the burdens that the citizens are experiencing in the increased valuations. So we are trying to figure out a way to thread that needle without putting the town in a precarious position long-term.
Well, again, I can only speak for myself. From my perspective, I'm comfortable about where we're at. Certainly respect the opinion and recommendation of staff to do something different. I don't think that the town is going to really suffer any consequences of us going through our appropriation process this year and holding where we're at. We are and we do have a plan in place to continue to provide all of the services we provide today for the town and the citizens here at or above the levels that we've been doing. We've got our slate of capital projects already sort of pre-programmed that we're going to be doing next year. I do think that we are continuing to offer a market competitive salary increase for our employees and benefits. Plus, there's some other things that we've done with this budget to help, further help out the citizens of Jamestown in terms of keeping fees as low as we can and still doing important work there. The motor vehicle fee reduction in half, going from $30 to $15. I think it's all additive. I mean, as we talked today, you know, we can control what we do with Jamestown, and I think we've all thoughtfully gone through a process of trying to figure out what that looks like, you know, with this council, with this budget. We can't control the county commissioners. Who knows what they will do? They currently have sort of a recommended budget in place that they're looking at what would amount to a 16% property tax increase for those of us who live in the county and pay county taxes, if you look at where they're at with their rate versus revenue neutral. Anyway, so that's just me. I'm comfortable and settled in sort of the point of where we're at now with the rate, the budget, all the stuff that's fully loaded into it.
Also-
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I also want to add, it's not a rate cut, tax rate for me as a resident or any of you. It's still an average increase that we're going to be paying in taxes to Jamestown of 20% at .5163. That's not a tax cut at all. So,
Right, the rate's being cut, but the taxes
but the
themselves are not.
valuation, because they are.
Right.
Yeah. The tax bills, put it that way.
I was just going to say, you know, I do think it's maybe a little unfair to say it's a political move to, you know, have a lower tax rate, but, and I, you know, Jim and you and I have talked, and I do think there, you know, and Matthew, I hear what you're saying about, you know, you don't want to use the fund balance to balance your budget. But then, you know, we looked at, Pam and I saw the one yesterday, what was it, Wahlberg or whatever, and their fund balance was like at 750% currently or something like that. So it does seem like, you know, there, and Faith, you had even said there are times where you know, you don't want your fund balance to be too high. And so it does seem like, oh, if we have capital projects and we have the fund balance for it, and they're in this year, then it makes sense to pull from our fund balance as we're budgeting for these projects. And I was, and to go back to how I started the conversation, I was feeling very comfortable about that. And then when I ran those numbers with Faith yesterday, and it was, and we got down to that, I think it was 42.8% was of expenditures were projected to be in fund balance. That's where I got a little like, oh, I'm not sure. Because when it was at 53.2%, I'm like, well, that's well over our 40% policy. But, so that's just why I'm saying, I don't know what the magic number is, and I was just saying, I'm not sure where I am, basically. That was a long way to say, I'm not sure.
I didn't want to hear. I agree with you, Sarah. The problem for me is I certainly don't want to raise taxes. Especially right now in the season that we're in with the inflation and the property tax increases, I feel like has made it very difficult for everybody. And I think that's, you know, that's been weighing on me because, you know, I certainly have had these conversations with people in our town throughout this whole season of budget, and I've listened, and, you know, I want to try to, you know, it's hard because we want to be fair to everybody. So it's a difficult situation. What are you thinking?
I will tell you what I'm thinking. I understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to lower taxes and keep the services that we've always had here in the town, the excellent services that we've had. I always get, when somebody says we're raising taxes, we haven't raised the tax. The problem is the valuation's gone up. And so it's just a matter of semantics, how you look at it. I can say that this table's red and somebody says it's purple. Well, the color of the table hasn't changed. It's just the perspective that we have on it. And so for me, I'll try and be brief here. I want to reduce it as much as we can. My concern about the 51 is it seems like it's, sorry. I didn't touch it. My concern is that's an aggressive number, which may work. The problem is, there's still so much debate on whether that would work, and whether it's gonna take $420,000 out or $200,000 out, what it's gonna go to. So my suggestion, I would like to go to 57, because it doesn't take anything out. I don't know that this group would agree to that, so I would suggest that we go somewhere like a 54. It's still going to raise taxes, depending on how you say that, but we haven't raised the tax. We're lowering it from 65. Greensboro's lowered it from 73 to 61, which is 11, or somewhere around there. And their taxes will still go up. So my suggestion is to go, if we go, I don't know, 54, then we're doing some of it, we're having to take some out of fund balance, perhaps, but we're not at that bare minimum that gets us to, so close to that line. And maybe we will get a whole lot more in taxes. Maybe we do, but then it's a benefit versus having to rely on that to get us back where we needed to be. So I respect everybody's opinions. I respect the amount of work and the thought that went into it, because it's difficult, and I don't quite understand it as well as some folks do, but it just seems that I'm a compromiser, and I think that if we go, for the sake of argument, just say 54, then it accomplishes two things. It doesn't take as much out of the fund balance. It reduces the tax rate. I don't feel that we're going to get to 51 or 57 100%, but I just suggest that. And I don't know what that does, and I don't know that it's going to cause you to spend up, 8 till 3 o'clock in the morning the next 10 nights, but that's where I feel, and I'll stop.
That
I don't know
raises
if I
our
see-
average tax bill payment up to 25.8% from 20.
Based on the valuation, not us raising the tax.
Correct.
Revenue neutral was,
57.
I thought it was 4,765.
Yeah, 48 cents.
Oh, I'm sorry. 57 keeps us from going into fund balance, right?
Yes, in round numbers, revenue neutral would be 48 cents.
Yeah.
And just for the record, I just looked it up. Greensboro is dropping this from 67 and a quarter to 58.39, or a reduction of 8.9 cents.
I think Jim meant Guilford County.
Guilford County, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was talking about Guilford
I was
County.
making sure that
Well, and I think that Jim, he said
I wanna say
Greensboro.
I knew I was going to get something wrong. I knew it.
Because I was like, oh, Greensboro's doing the exact same as Guilford County.
concept is still the same,
concept is exactly the same, yes.
and
Yeah.
I'm out.
Well, I think probably what we need to decide is, Faith has created a budget for us based on our motion from the May 12th meeting of the .5163. So I think we either need to give her direction of stay there, and we'll vote on that budget at the public hearing on June 23rd, or we say, we're sorry, Faith, we've had a change of heart, and now you're going to have to bust your butt to get us some new numbers, which I know you would be very fine doing for us, and we would appreciate it, but you need that direction from us, so. I think we know where Jim and Susan sit on it, so, unless I'm mistaken.
No, that's,
You want to make a motion, or?
Well, I don't know.
I'll
I
look
think
to
we
her to
just
see
need
if we're supposed to do that or not.
I think we just need a consent, maybe we just need to think. Pam, what are you thinking? I think we know where the Jims and Susan, and you and I seem to be the ones who can't decide what we're doing.
Well, I think the 5163, because I don't think that that's going to put us in some tragic move.
Okay, so I think our direction then is to just keep it the way it is, and that's what we'll vote on June 23rd.
All right.
Yeah?
Yep.
Just FYI, I got a note from the county manager that the Guilford County Sheriff's Office contract would be $592.
Oh,
Their ears were burning over there.
And the Board of Commissioners has directed the manager to charge full cost. So there is another decision that needs to be made on that.
what was that, 5 what?
592,
I
102.
told you it was going to happen.
my
So at that, at that level, you're basically just, I want to distill down 2 years of discussion with the board. is that you're not going to be able to receive full coverage unless.
For
you're
that,
able to pay
yeah.
600,000.
Oh, right.
So I would like.
So
that direction.
what does that number pay for in terms of FTE count?
Exactly what we
Same
did.
thing.
5 full-time employees to cover 24/7, 365. So if you are not interested in doing that, I would like some direction of where Faith needs to put the budget number.
That's a hard no for me.
Yeah, that's big, sorry. I mean,
And I
as
don't
much
think-
as much as I want, you know, the services to remain, this,
Well, can we go with 4, and then next year we have a
You know,
lot more residents?
You're roughly at 475, just rough math, if I'm doing it correctly, 475 for 4 full-time employees?
24/7?
No, it would not, you would not get 24/7, 365 for 4 employees.
Oh, okay, so what does that get, what's the,
So their description to us would be that they would cover as much as they could, but it would not be 24/7, 365. They could not
much as they
guarantee
could?
that level. It depends on who's available when and vacations and coverages. You know, the only way we can control that is if you have your own police force, which I would not recommend.
No, well, yeah, exactly, no, we can't, that's not for it, no.
So this is not a,
So
sorry.
So what was their number again they came up
it was
with?
592 for 5 FTE.
592 even?
592, 102.
102, and how many pennies? Me and Paul need to know, we're
Get that 2
engineers.
cents, don't
We
get
need,
that
we need to have an approximate number of pennies. 592, and that's for 5 FTEs.
And the 4 FTE, we're not getting 365, and they're pretty much saying, oh, whenever we can show up.
102.
Essentially.
So then why would
I know
we,
that
so then we need to talk about this, because why
so-
would we even need an office over there then at that point?
I think that you would see the changes, and I'm speculating at this point, the changes you would see is reduced visibility. You probably would not have the same types of coverage.
We wouldn't even
I
do
don't
this.
see 'em
I don't see them anyway.
And the response times would probably be where you see the differences. Instead of a 4 or 5 minute response time, it may
7,
10,
10.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
They mention it every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a suggestion. But where Jim go to the,
No, I'm gonna take that time.
Do we need to take a break?
You want to take a 5 minute?
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
have to, I have to do
Yeah,
that
that'd be
too.
good.
592, 102?
Yes.
592, 102. So is their new number in their 5 FTE count a take it or leave it proposition?
Oh, that's a good question. It's
Take it
either
or
do
leave it in
full
what-
or none.
In what regard?
Do it all or do nothing, and they're not going to provide us with a
No,
new service?
we could reduce, we could still fund the 475 to 500, whatever the number is, for four full-time employees, and still have some additional coverage.
Okay, but now, if it's gone up, that 4 number you're talking about was when it was at 517, right?
It was
So
420-ish, wasn't it?
let's go back in
If they
time.
go up to 596,
Full coverage up until recently was estimated to be 517
right,
for 5 full-time employees to cover 24/7, 365.
right.
Or drop down to like four something, whatever the number was, and I don't have it in my head.
Right.
To fund 4 full-time employees to get us under the 500 number that I was directed to
Right.
and communicate to them. Now, for full coverage, full cost was 592,102.
Right.
And just doing the math,
Doing a prorate.
it would be roughly 475 for 4 full-time employees
Right.
to receive that same reduced level of coverage.
That's what I was getting at. 4 was gonna
So-
go up a whole lot.
They've not given us that official number, but that's what we're anticipating that they'd be okay with.
Right.
And they decided that this afternoon?
I just received a message from the county manager, yes. Told you I'd let you know as soon as I knew it.
Yeah, they got
Thank
back to
you.
us pretty quickly. I'm shocked, honestly.
They must have been watching the meeting online.
They must have been.
Okay, so we.
So here's my thought, for what it's worth. This has turned into quite the adventure with the sheriff's office and the county budgeting process now. And, we've stayed pretty committed and steadfast to our $500,000 number. My thought is that's where we stay from a budgeting perspective, is at our $500,000 number. And effectively, that will pay for, according to their math, 4.2 FTEs. And again, the 4.2 FTE number, if you work it out, is really what it takes to provide 24/7, 365 coverage. Now, they'll continue to argue that they've got other needs and it's going to take 5 and whatever. But, even with all of their semantics and hoops that they've sort of taken us through here over the past couple of months, I'm still willing, on behalf of the service to the community, to keep the $500,000 number at play.
Wait, we said 517.
That's off the table.
I know,
Oh,
I'm coming back.
Oh,
to
you're saying you're
500.
coming back to.
I'm sticking with the 500,
To
that's
do
what
4,
we've been
To
consistent.
drop it down to 4.
4.2. 500 pays for approximately 4.2 FTEs with their math.
What is it, Pam?
I'm confused. Because you're saying 5,
I'm just saying, we've consistently,
Yeah, I think we have the choice of either do 5.
92,
And get
or-
5 full-time employees.
Now we-
Or see whatever number they give us for 4 full-time employees.
And then
And
that
that probably will be under 500,000, and so we could budget 500,000 and say we'll take the 4 full-time employees.
I would
Yeah,
still
is that
say
kind of
5 to
where we're at?
517 for me.
What?
Because didn't we say before you got this that we were?
that's before the curveball came in.
Let me make this as
Hot off the
clear as I
presses.
possibly can. The way I say it, you have 3 options. You can fund 24/7, 365 coverage at 592,102. You could budget less than that and receive whatever coverage that you can get for, say, 500,000. Or you could say, I don't wish to engage with them at all and take it out of the budget altogether and throw
Okay,
caution to
wait,
the wind.
Gotcha, okay.
Those are the way I see the 3.
Or we could, there's another option too. We could also say that we're going to budget 473, 681, 60 to pay for 4 positions,
So
using their
my
math.
advice is if the board wishes to stay under $500,000, to direct Matthew to ask them to quote us the price for 4 FTEs, whatever service that provides us, and to budget that number, assuming that it comes back in the 475 range.
I confirmed that with the county manager, and it was 475.
Oh, you did, oh, you.
But use-
all right. Wow,
well-
this is real-time data, okay.
I'm trying to get you as much information as I can, so I mean,
Dashboard style.
roughly 475, I'm just, round
We're
numbers.
leaving about $1,300 on the table.
That's correct. The math is right.
Okay, math is mathing, all right.
Which is
What's,
horse hockey, because some of those are fixed costs and some of those are not fixed costs.
yeah,
And when the lawyer is telling your accounting department how to do accounting,
Hey, gang, words.
Is horse hockey a legal term?
it is.
I think it'd be difficult to go to 596. I know that we.
No, we
that's just-
can't.
592, yeah.
I mean, we're getting, this is the whole reason we had this conversation in the first place.
Well, if we go to that 592, then that 420 that goes, that we've been debating for the general fund then goes up to whatever 420 plus 92,000 is, right?
Yep.
That is correct. That is actually another option. That is a fourth option, is that you could fund 24/7, 365, but you would have to float it out of your fund balance, which brings us back to the discussion we were having before, that I don't think that you can sustain this type of expenditures.
That's why that 54 number looked pretty good to me, but.
Certainly not at that tax rate.
What do we need to do at this point?
So, go ahead.
Well, you can make a motion to budget 475 for the sheriff's department contract if that's what you guys want to do.
Or if these.
With no knowledge on how much coverage we'd actually lose.
I mean, you lose 20% of your coverage.
Well, correct, on paper. Right. But there's no way of knowing.
But it's like that now. I mean, that's what we, like, at one point, when the former board had concerns about what was going on, they started requiring one of the deputies to come to every meeting and give us an update. You're never gonna be able, like, short of having trackers on them.
Right.
You're never gonna know exactly what they are, and the sheriff's office is not allowed to enter into a contract that prevents the sheriff from moving deputies to emergency situations. Like, they can't do that. So, we're never gonna have any, like, guaranteed number of hours of man in city or man in town.
So do we want to do the 470, what was it,
475.
versus 500? I mean, we can get an
Yeah.
extra 25,000, whatever, coverage, maybe? Or do we just want to go down to the,
Well, that would cover like Christmas parade time, right, when we have to hire a little extra?
That's totally separate.
Oh, it is, okay.
So like, when we hire usually off-duty officers to assist us in particular events, that's part of that event cost.
is anybody here in favor of the 590? Can I ask?
No.
no,
No.
Okay, so nobody's in favor of that? I mean, we all want the coverage, but it's getting,
yeah. It's getting
okay.
kind of
So
hectic
it's,
here.
so we're either with 500 or 475 or nothing, right?
So-
That's the-
So I'll make a motion just to get there. I'll make a motion that we effectively set the sheriff's contract in our budget for 475, that as we understand it, will pay for 4 positions to do as much 24/7 coverage as they can for the community, and that we expect continued 24/7, 365 response to our community by the sheriff's department.
That's not what, no,
You're saying that you expect 24/7, 365?
no, we're not. gonna get
Response, not coverage.
that.
There's
Oh,
a
the
difference.
response time?
Response, that they're, when we have a need, they're gonna show up and respond to it.
I mean,
Rob, is that legal?
They're not gonna put that in the contract.
Well, that's what I'm stating in my motion. But if somebody wants to make a friendly amendment to that, they can.
No, we're not,
Just simply say, make a motion to the 475 for the 4 officers, or whatever that number was, and
So there's a lot of
So
motions.
we'll say that this one died for lack of a second. Is that one on the floor now?
yes,
Just
ma'am.
the okay, so there's a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the 475.
Okay,
Okay, and
In
everybody.
4 positions.
4 point, yeah, 4.
sure. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, for me.
Okay.
Sarah's had it with
I had it with them, I had it with their games, and I'm done.
And they all came.
We're gonna put 475 in the budget
More than five, I think.
for that, okay. Just want Faith to be comfortable.
Yeah,
Okay,
I got it.
good.
75.
All righty,
That
we're,
was $100,000 increase from the last meeting we had. That's what it was, so, okay.
I'll state for the record, from my perspective, I'm disappointed with the information that we received back today from the county manager, the budget office, and specifically the sheriff's department. We hope that they will continue to provide us with a very high level of service for the money that we're putting out in the new contract, and we expect that. But just disappointed with the fact that, we were at one number 24 hours ago, and then 10 minutes ago, we figure out it's $100,000 more. That's not a good faith partnership action, so enough said.
All right.
okay. So we're at a quarter till, and we got a birthday party and all kinds of things.
Yeah, I just wanted, before we adjourn, I just want to make a statement in regards to the decision on the COLA, because there's been so much concern about that. And I just want to make for the record and let everybody know how I'm feeling about that and why, so that there is, I think you're owed a fair explanation. I just want to say, look, listen, I was never against a merit. But what I was against in the past 2 years that I've sat on this council was not having enough information or data that would help drive my decision, such as what we have in front of us. So thank you for that, because that's a great start, and I hope you think that that's fair. I never had that information before, and it is what I've requested, okay? I'm going to say what I've said in the past 2 years, and that is a merit constitutes any employee who has gone above and beyond their normal scope of work. And I applaud that. But for me, I'd like to see that, okay? Which, where I come from, when you get a merit, it's proven, I know everybody here does a good job. We already know that. And I'm going to say this again, I've said it in the past 2 years. We didn't hire, or you didn't hire anybody to do a bad job, okay? So I applaud everybody, and I still hold firm to the great job that they do. It's just that I've never felt like I've had enough information to constitute these merits. We've had conversation about this, and I feel like it puts us in a good place to go forward with more information that we can talk about, whether it's the word merit or not, okay? During this time, we're all in a bad season. We all know this. From my research, the inflation is still at a 3.8% rise throughout the country. And when I ran my campaign, I ran on the slogan of "We are all in this together," which means that we are all in a bad season together, and nobody is, excluded from this. And I feel like we have all, as a council, have had to make hard decisions when it comes to, setting this tax rate as well as trying to do what's fair for the employees. So I want to say that that's where I stand, and I wanted to make it clear about how I stand. It's not about, has nothing to do with them not doing a good job. It has nothing to do with not treating them fairly. No, that was never a conversation, and it was never an argument. We're lucky to have and blessed to have everybody here in the town that works for the town. For me, I like information. You provided something that gives us a start that we can talk about, and I think that's fair for council to be able to make wise decisions going forward as it relates to that.
So there was a rather lengthy email that came in last night. We were able to provide that information that's at your seat rather quickly. There is a longer one it's going to exceed probably a day or two worth of work to pull every single employee now and past to give all of the statutorily allowed information. I want to be clear, does the council, is there consensus that they want our staff to provide all that information, even if it takes a couple of days' worth of work?
Did we request it, or did?
I had one council member request it.
I did.
Oh, okay.
The employee list, which we are supposedly anybody can ask for.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, if it's a public records request, we'll have to
Yeah,
honor
it
it,
is.
so.
That would be what we would consider an excessive public records request. It's going to take it way over 4 hours for us to dig through all that information. It's not a simple hit print type of request. So I just want clear direction. If the council wants us to spend the time doing it, that's fine, but it'll probably take a person at least a couple of days' worth of work.
Can I make a suggestion? Again, you can take this for what it's worth, but I understand exactly what everybody's saying about raises and merit pay and everything else, all that information, it all makes sense. I think what troubles me is we're still at a point where we're getting information. I think we've got information that's going to be helpful to us moving forward, like we can put together a structure or whatever. So in the meantime, instead of saying we're going to slash it completely, and we just said that inflation was at 3.8%, could we not do the COLA at 4 and be done with it, and then moving forward, we look at how we do the merit, if it's called a merit or whatever you want to do, but instead of, in the interim of, we've got information, maybe we'll end up doing something in the future, but instead of just saying we're going to eliminate it and cut it off, I understand it, our employees get great benefits and that sort of thing. I think other places have gone up 4%, but my point is, while we get the information, while we're planning this, instead of doing away with it completely, we can do away with it, but then just call the COLA 4% because inflation is 3.8, as it was just stated, and then it's a little bit more palatable, and then we can move forward with the information that we got today about that. That's my suggestion now.
Jim, for me personally, it's like the sheriff's contract. I know that, like, this is the first time you're getting the information. Pam and I have been asking this for these things for 2 years. So it's like, we can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So for me, to take 2 years to get the information and then say, well, we're going to, it's going to take 2 years to get the information, then you got to sit on it for another year. It's just like the sheriff's contract for me. It's like, I need to move on to the next thing at this point, so.
I understand, that's why I said, it's not saying go to 6 or 3 and 3, just, because like at one time we talked about 3 and 1, just call 4 and then be done with it as a COLA, because we just said inflation was 3.8. So anyway, I'm not.
But don't base on, that was my research. You might want to do your own. That was my research.
Right, I'm
But
just saying that was.
I'm just, I was just making my own statement. I just wanted to be clear about where I stood.
Sure.
I would really like the employee list. I mean, statutorily,
I just want to be,
anybody should ask for, I just want to know who works for us and what your names are and what you do.
they want to know the name, age,
There's
date of
10 things
original
that we are allowed
employment
to
or appointment of
ask for
service,
under public
terms of any contract, whether written or oral, current position, title, current salary, date and amount of each increase or decrease in salary, including pay, bonus, and benefits, date and type of each promotion, demotion, transfer, suspension, separation, or other change of position, classification, date and general description of the reasons for each promotion, date and type of each dismissal, suspension, or demotion for disciplinary reasons, and if the disciplinary action was a dismissal, a copy of the written notice of the final decision of the municipality setting forth specific acts or omissions that are the basis of the dismissal, and the office to which the employee is currently assigned. I'm fine giving that. That is the statutory requirement for us to provide that. I'm just saying it's going to take an employee at least a couple of days' worth of work. I want to make sure that the council is happy with that type of time being spent on this type of request. If there is a narrowing of that we can work on, I'm happy to do that. If there's a conversation that we want to have, I'm happy to do that as well. I want to be clear that we're bound by law to do it. I just want, one of the conversations that Pam and Sarah and I had yesterday is, why weren't certain things getting done? These are the types of requests that take time away from us getting things done, and there are other operational things that are going on besides just this request. So I just want to be clear that our time, it does take a lot of time to provide this information. This is it's difficult. I just want to make sure there's consensus and that I'm not being directed by one member of council to perform one task.
Well, again, it does seem excessive to me, Susan, but if it's a public records request and we have to do it, then we have to follow our rules for public records requests. And if it's excessive and it's deemed excessive, then we follow the rules for excessive requests, is my thought on it. So,
But then would a time factor come into play? Because
yeah, it definitely does.
I know, but my point is, we wouldn't necessarily need that information right now if we.
No, I mean, I personally don't.
I mean, it would be moving forward, so it wouldn't have any bearing on what we would do this.
I guess my request would be, what outcome are we seeking here? You just want to know your name and who you are and where you work?
Well,
Salary?
and I would like to know also if it's current employees or employees from the past, this is something that Karen is gonna have to help me with, and it's not something that I have just, already compiled. If it were more narrow, it wouldn't take very long, but if it's, age and every promotion and amount for every single,
No, it's not passed. We just the people who work for us now.
well, it'll still take some time. I think we just need to be
How
clear
many
about what
employees
you're
we
asking.
got? How many employees do we have?
Roughly 40 full-time employees. All filled?
have 38 full-time
38.
and 2 vacancies.
There you go. Her
I mean, I
answer.
personally don't feel like I need that information at all for anything that I do, but, I didn't make the request. So again, to me, if it came in as a public records request, we have to follow the public records request laws and policies. And to me, there's no consensus for us to have on it, we have to do it. But
This is a little
for me
different.
personally, I don't need that
It's
information.
a little different because it's coming from a council member. So I'm happy to provide that information. I just want to make sure that 3 or more of you are saying that this is what we want the manager and the staff spending their time on. I mean, I'm happy to, if we want to narrow the scope or have a discussion, we can just have a chit
I
chat
think that we
about it.
can do away with I don't care about 9, 10, or 11 about promotion, demotion. blah,
Well,
blah,
and
blah.
we can discuss it further
Yeah,
if we need
absolutely.
to.
But I just would like to know who works for the town, what your name is,
That's easier, yeah.
Yeah, I mean-
So,
and it's,
Well, it might be
I,
helpful
this
since
was a
me and
cut
Sarah had
paste.
so many J's that we could.
The
J's.
But no.
I like to hire people
Well,
with
if you'd like to
J's.
call me
Jason,
and
Jamie.
discuss it with me, that'd be awesome. Or send me
So I
an
think,
email.
Would that work?
No,
yeah, y'all have a conversation, figure it out.
I agree. I think just having a conversation would be helpful. And if Katie and Susan want to talk about the request, I think that will handle it. Is that fair?
Sounds good.
Yeah, or we can just say it right now, just give us 1 through 7, that's it. That'll be easy, quick list, I'm sure you gotta have that to do.
I'm just curious, what's 1 through 7, Susan?
Name, age, date they started working here, any contracts, current position, title, current salary, and actually then number 12, maybe the office, like do you work for Parks and Recs or do you work for the town hall? That's it.
Well, that's, yeah. The other ones are more.
Yeah, the promotion, demotion, blah, blah, blah. no.
Okay.
Fair enough. I did have 2 minor things. First of all is, there is a Senate bill out there, Senate Bill 889 for the moratorium, which has been communicated by our lobbyists that it's being considered on June the 9th. And they feel like it will likely pass and that it may go to the governor. The speculation is that the governor would veto it, and then we don't know if it would survive a veto override vote or not. If that happens, everything that we've discussed up to
Is
this
it
point,
start all over?
we have to start over.
So
I don't have 6 months to prepare a new budget. We will, my, absent direction from the council is that we will take the budget that we have based on the tax rate that we have and take out as much as we can to get it to balance as fast as we can.
So if I could just jump in real quick, I understand the politics between raising or decreasing rates and raising and decreasing valuations, but the number that matters is the revenue, right? That's the policy decision that the board has to make, as how much money do we want to bring in under ad valorem taxes? We take that number and we multiply it, divide it out by whatever the heck the county says the taxes, the value is, and that gives us a rate. If the state passes this and the board and the governor doesn't veto it, that number, the valuation, will change. If you keep your top revenue number the same, it's going to give you a new tax rate, but nothing else in the budget changes, right? Because that's the revenue that's coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
so
know that.
Yeah,
my
that's
thought would be,
straightforward.
if there's a moratorium, because I've been thinking about this, if there's a moratorium, couldn't we just say then, the tax neutral rate is our current tax rate now, and then if we want the,
Yeah, if there's a moratorium, you bill from the current.
We would start at the current tax rate and then try to make the budget expenditures fit that rate without
How would it-
impacting services negatively.
so if we did, I guess I don't understand, because what you're saying, Rob, with the revenue, if,
So right now, at 51 cents,
yeah.
based
No,
off.
no, but it wouldn't be the
I
51.
know, but right now.
No, but we know what we need in the way of revenue to offset our expenditures and what we're taking out of fund balance. So it's all theoretically balanced right now, and I
Right, that's
think
what
what
I'm
Rob,
saying.
what Rob is saying is just the,
Revenue neutral plus the,
yeah. So we know right now with this budget that we have, that we're working on, we know how much revenue we're expecting to bring in from our property tax component, which is covering both property and vehicles.
so
So
I guess.
that number's already
how
set.
would the revenue be different if, so say
revenue
nothing
would be the
changed,
same.
say the moratorium goes into effect, nothing changes, everyone's house value stays the same, the tax rate stays the same, we add the 3 cents for the fire department to the tax rate, how does that
would-
not balance the same revenue?
The budget that is currently, has a general consensus by the board with the new value results in a revenue that is higher than last year, right? We are not revenue neutral on what the board is proposing. It's gone up.
Yeah, we're about 8%
That's gonna happen
over.
every year
About
because
8%
of
over.
inflation.
Right.
It's also gonna happen because of new services and policy decisions and all that stuff. Right now, I think it's like 4.9 or something million on ad valorem taxes, right? If the board decides they want to keep that amount of revenue, I don't really care what the tax value or what the valuation is, right? It's going to create a different, it's going to create a different tax rate, but the actual amount of dollars that come in from our property will be the same.
So the revenue neutral rate that whoever gave it
So-
to us, the county, whoever, is
Rev-
not actually neutral.
Revenue neutral rate is the 48 cents.
Right.
That is based on the new values, and that would have yielded the same amount of money.
Same amount of revenue.
The
from
same
year
amount
to
of money
year.
that we received last year,
Yeah.
which in real dollars is 3.8% less, right? 'Cause of
Okay.
inflation.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So we
Okay, yeah, yeah.
anticipate, like, to kind of stay, like, purchasing power even.
Yeah, I
we
see what you're saying, yeah.
would expect the total income to go up some. We've gone a little bit over that, right?
Yeah.
And that's expected. Like, there are new services, there are things that need to happen, like, that's just the expansion of life.
Yeah.
But right now, even if the legislature does something crazy and results in a completely new valuation, I don't think that's gonna actually change, unless the board wants to go back and change policy, is not gonna require us to go back and change our decisions on the budget.
That's right.
Chief
That's right.
Parson called me today, and he asked me about, what that would look like. So I think even, and I don't want to speak out of term for him, but I think even his funding level would kind of go back to what it is right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah, unless he was to propose a higher tax rate, then that would be
Okay.
a whole nother. But
Okay.
yes, I think his funding would kind of go back
Okay.
based
So I
on.
just-
And I
But he would
call
still
the-
be asking for an additional $264,000 next year to fund his operations, because
Well,
his
I can't
expenses are his
speak for that.
expenses.
I can't speak for him, but
No, I'm just saying he would.
I'm just saying that he and I would go back and talk again. I would have to get with him.
Yeah,
What
all right.
rate and recalculate. I don't know what he's going to do.
My
We just
only-
had a brief conversation today, if that were to happen.
My only purpose was just to let you know that we're watching it.
Okay,
And the lobbyists are
You're
watching
right.
it, and this is a question I need to pose to the board as a whole, is whether or not we want to continue to fund the lobbyists at any level at all, because we have the fire station discussion that's going to pop up. We have a lot of bills that they're watching for local government, including us. But I understand there's some concern about the expense that goes with that. But I just wanted to see what the board's pleasure was for whether or not you wanted to continue to fund the lobbyists for next year.
So our contract with them runs through what, July the 1st or June 30th?
Say again?
Our current contract runs
They're
through June the
month to
30th?
month.
Okay. Then, I mean, my opinion is I'm comfortable with ending the agreement or arrangement at the end of the month?
So for me, originally, and I did say this in the beginning, originally, I did say I wanted to do away with it. And I had not talked to you or Susan, but since, about what I'm getting ready to say, but since visiting out in Raleigh and having an opportunity to meet with the lobbyists, and I will say they did work pretty hard in setting up our, meetings and taking us around, and that was a consideration for me. That kind of changed a little bit, as well as I would like to see if they would help us with the fire station, or whatever, at a lower cost.
Yeah, Pam and I had this
We talked
conversation
about it,
yesterday.
yeah.
And I.
Lower cost.
I was also on board with
Getting
just getting rid of it until we went to Raleigh, and then I really saw more value in it than I expected to see. And, but one of the things Pam brought up yesterday that I think is a very good point is not only if we could try to get it at a lower cost, because maybe we just don't, I don't know the terms of the contract of how many hours
Yeah.
they give us now or anything. But also, it would be really nice to have more interaction with them in the council, if we were to continue with any kind of contract with them, even if, if we occasionally go to Raleigh, or, if they come here, or even if we, during our, what do they call the briefings, during the briefings, do a Zoom with them or something,
Yeah,
just
because
so
we
we
didn't
have
have
a little
that,
more
you're right,
interaction.
we didn't have that, we didn't have the opportunity to interact with them more.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, what are they doing?
Yeah, exactly.
But then when we personally had that opportunity to be with them in Raleigh, and,
Yeah.
so I'd like to see what the contract says. I can't, or, was it that, because it was like, what, 70,000 or something like that?
I don't remember the exact
I think it
terms of
was.
the contract, other than I know it is month to month.
My concern is just that a year ago, I remember when I heard that the town had hired lobbyists, because I used to be married to one. And I don't understand, I thought at that time they were talking about doing something with the fire station. That was a year ago. So over a year, we haven't done anything to help fund the fire station. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, why it should change. I mean,
Susan, you haven't learned in your 6 months that the gears of government turn very, very
Hey,
slowly.
Look,
like I
very
said,
slow.
I'm married to a lobbyist. I know how those things.
I'd like to have an opportunity to develop more of a stronger relationship with them.
So if it's month to month, could we, because I'm kind of, what Pam and Sarah said, it was an interesting, eye-opening experience to see what they and other lobbyists were doing the whole time. But we eliminated it for a reason. Part of it was because we didn't see a whole lot of value.
That's right.
We see some value, but since it's month to month, is it something we put in there and
You could
can
do a
say, okay,
6-month
or
funding,
at
for
least say,
example.
can we try what they're suggesting about getting more interaction or meeting, or whatever it is, and then if it's not working, we could stop it at that point, or is that an option, or, I don't know if that's.
I think they require a 30-day notice,
Yeah, yeah,
something like that, but yes, yeah.
It's over today.
I don't want to get into I don't have it in front of me. But, I mean, you could do a 6-month extension and revisit it at a later date. I think that the representative, what's Alan's last name?
Branson?
Alan Brandt.
Yeah, Representative Branson said that if it's not something that they fund in this particular budget cycle, that there could be some discussions around that. He was very supportive of it in their next budget cycle, which starts this fall. So I'm just reading the tea leaves and trying to position the town well to have some continued representation there in Raleigh. It could be a, thing that we fund for an additional 6 months and give them some notice, and then say, we can revisit price structures after 6 months and, talk about it.
And say we're gonna do 6 months, then that has to go into the budget for 6 months. If
That's
you
correct.
extend it, you'd have to do a budget amendment, right?
That's correct.
But we did just say 25,000.
Yes, you
So,
did.
remind me again, what is the annual cost of that contract to us?
It's
It's
55 a month.
70,000.
I thought
We
it was
budgeted
70,000.
I looked-
70.
$70,000 a year?
We budgeted 70 for the
Yeah.
year.
Okay, what does that work out to a month?
Somebody said 55.
That's why I said I would love to at a cheap price, because I really did enjoy, I think we.
How much a month?
Losing it because we weren't.
5834,
Connected makes it's better.
$5,800 a month,
yeah.
roughly? I can't support it.
Seems like the timing too should be more around the budget. I mean, the sessions, when they're in session and making decisions.
But I'm just wondering,
I could ask them what they would do for a reduced fee.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other options for you. I wanted to make sure that we don't, put the town in a bad position with legislature opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the lobbyists have no say whether we get money or not, but they're
Right.
facilitating that conversation.
Right.
And to me, if it ends up we do get money and we get, $12, $13 million for the cost of, a couple of years of lobbyists, to me, that's worth it, but, that's a gamble. We don't know what would happen. So
Right.
could be, we get nothing and then we
Let's see what we can get.
We just
I mean,
wasted money,
See what
so.
options are.
If we need
Do you want me to engage with them to see what the options? Okay.
Maybe,
Yes, I've taken it.
It needs
but we
to go
can,
back
you
in.
can amend it though, right? I mean,
Well, no, we need to,
We still have a public hearing. I mean, I can give each of you a phone call and say, here's what they told me.
Can we get some information on that?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. I can give you each of you a phone call and say, this is what they've presented to us, get a consensus on that, share it with you all. And I mean, we're kind of close on the time frame anyway, as far as budget. But, because she'll need some time it'll take about a week for her to put this budget together based on the information we've received today. And then we'll finalize everything with the auditor and get it ready for the June 23rd meeting, which packet should go out the week or so before, which will put it, around the 16th or so.
I will be at a Mumford and Sons concert.
I'll at least get some options
gonna be
from
where?
them.
what was
I'm
that?
going to a Mumford and Sons concert
On the 23rd? Oh, on the 16th.
council meeting's on the 23rd.
It'll be an exciting day all around. We'll get this information and a concert.
Yes. Leave it out. Leave it out.
leave it out and then give us the information and then we can decide when to put it back. Is that easier to do it that?
I mean, if nothing else changes, and this is one of those things that like, you could, up to the date of the 23rd, you could on the night of the 23rd say, I'm fine with everything in the budget as is, please add X dollars for X services.
Or keep, yeah, either way.
And we can still produce a final document for that. I don't want to get into I would rather not do that.
Get that information. So
I'll get as much information as I can to you as fast as I can.
we'll keep it out. And then, okay.
All right, anybody else?
Thank you.
move to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're done.